Okay. All right. Thank you all for joining us for this info session on LGBTQ plus friendly study abroad programs with CIS abroad as part of the study abroad events for Central Washington University. So my name is Kent Moore. I use he, him, his pronouns. My role at CIS abroad is Director of University Relations. So I get to speak with students all around the US. I had personal study abroad experience in Spain, Thailand, and India. I have to share that as a rule. International educators always want to talk about their own study abroad experience. So thank you for indulging me. And I've been with CIS abroad since 2015. And I'm excited to talk to you today. This is an important topic and one that is really special for CIS abroad. This is a big part of our identity as an organization. So I'm excited to share a little bit about that with you. So what's on the agenda for today? We're going to talk a little bit about CIS abroad to introduce you to our organization. We're going to talk about our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. I want to share the results of a project we did, which are our top 10 most LGBTQ plus friendly program locations around the world. Some questions to consider as you're planning your study abroad experience, certain funding opportunities, a little bit about the process, and then I want to share some resources as well. Okay, so elephant in the room, just have to get it out of the way. We are still in a pandemic. That is certainly a reality that we're still dealing with. And I wanted to share just very briefly a little bit about CIS Abroad's approach to mitigating risk as it pertains to education abroad programs. What you need to know is that we are working very hard to mitigate 3 different types of risk. First is the health and safety component of our programs, most importantly, obviously. So we're implementing site-specific risk management plans all over the world for our programs. Less maybe apparent risks are academic in nature. So we are mitigating risk surrounding academic continuity. So if, for example, you had to participate in or you're participating in a program of CIS abroad, and then your semester or your term overseas was interrupted for whatever reason, you would still be able to finish that program via remote learning. That's something we want to make sure that you get the credits for your experience with us. And then finally, financial risk, right? So we're being as flexible as we can with our refund policies so that you can receive a full refund up to 31 days before your program begins with CIS abroad. So trying to remove some of the uncertainty around educational travel in this kind of exceptional time that we're in. So into the good stuff. So why CIS abroad? We are the Center for International Studies Abroad. I want to make that clear. We're not CIS abroad. Sometimes when I'm speaking about LGBTQ plus programming, sometimes I get the question about is CIS abroad or is CIS abroad only for CIS students? And I want to make it clear that that's an acronym. Just to put that out there. Here are the types of programs that we offer around the world. So we work in the summer space, semester abroad, quarter abroad, January terms. We also do experiential learning programs, which I'll touch on briefly. And during the pandemic, actually virtual programs have been quite popular as well. So I can talk about that if you have questions. A few things that I think make CIS abroad stand out when considering education abroad programming. One is affordability. I mentioned I had the opportunity as an undergraduate student to study abroad several times, and I would not have been able to do that without access to affordable programs. So that is key. Financial accessibility is big for our whole outlook on education abroad, and we try to make our programs as accessible as possible. Number 2 is support. So at CIS abroad, when you work with us, at each stage of the process, you are supported by either an advisor, a program enrollment coordinator, a site director, who's the person working with you directly on site, picking you up at the airport and helping you to engage in the local culture through our La Vida local cultural curriculum, which is kind of segues into number 3 here, which is cultural immersion. Cultural immersion is absolutely foundational to the programs that we build around the world. And we create a lot of opportunities for you to connect and engage locally through our programs. So a few awards that we'd like to brag about a little bit via goabroad.com and gooverseas.com, which if you are a student and you're planning an education abroad experience, I would highly recommend looking into these resources. There's a lot of great content on these websites. So please do have a look there. Okay, so our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion at CIS Abroad, this is something that we've become sort of known for in the field of study abroad through a number of ways, which I want to talk a little bit about. But this starts with just recognizing that diversity is absolutely crucial to all facets of life, and that we want to bring that to our space, into education abroad, as much as possible. And so we work closely with study abroad offices and faculty to encourage students from all backgrounds to go abroad. And one of the ways that we've specifically focused on promoting education abroad to LGBTQ plus students is through our Generation Study Abroad commitment. So this was an initiative a few years ago that was created by the Institute for International Education, and they asked everyone to make a commitment to increasing study abroad participation. And where CIS Abroad is located in Massachusetts, our hometown of Northampton, Massachusetts, is very gay friendly. It's sort of known for that as being a very friendly place to members of this population. And so we decided let's focus on this underrepresented group. We see this need within our field, and we want to increase participation and knowledge and resources. And so one of the main things that we did was to partner with the University of Massachusetts Amherst Stonewall Center, which is an LGBTQ support office. And we partnered with them annually over the last 5 or 6 years to offer an ally training. So the ally training is designed to provide information about appropriate and inappropriate terminology, increase awareness in the ways that LGBTQ plus people face discrimination in this country and while abroad, and the ways in which that might manifest. We talk about understanding terminology, which is really important. So, for example, the difference between transgender over transgendered. To some people, this is new and sort of a subtle difference, and they're just not aware of how these things are taken. So we really worked quite hard over the last few years to partner with UMass and create this training. And so we're proud to have trained over 300 education abroad staff through these trainings. And another component of this was to survey all of our international partners. So all of the universities to which we send students overseas, we asked them questions about access to resources on campus, the facilities on campus, what kind of support structures were there, recognition of LGBTQ plus community on campus, et cetera, to understand which locations we could promote to students as being the most friendly. And so that's what I want to share with you as we get into this today. So what can I do abroad, when and where? I want to just briefly introduce our programs around the world to you. It'll have to be rather quick. We're not going to go into all of them because there are quite a few, but I want to just show you regionally so you have sort of a geographic understanding of where we operate. So in Europe, we have programs in 8 countries. So highlighting a few of my favorites: London, England; Barcelona, Spain; and Florence, Italy. And obviously in each of these locations, there are different academic strengths and different programmatic strengths. So I encourage you, if you're interested in study abroad in these locations at all, to look at our website. We have a really powerful search tool to dig into which programs are a good fit for which academic majors and whatnot. And then changing gears over to Africa and Asia Pacific, we offer programs in Cape Town. That's at the University of Cape Town, actually the #1 university in all of Africa. So a really prestigious institution. We also work with lots of institutions in Australia. The one I'm highlighting here is at Bond University, our program on the Gold Coast. And then my personal favorite, our program in Bangkok, Thailand. One of our most affordable programs anywhere in the world, and really academically accommodating as well, in terms of providing opportunities for a lot of different types of majors and minors. And then the last but not least, the Americas. So we send students to 5 countries in this region. We're probably one of the very few organizations who send students domestically to Hawaii. So this is a particularly good program if you have concerns about not having a passport, not being able to obtain a visa, or if you're a DACA student. So that's something to keep in mind. Or if you just want to study abroad in Honolulu, it's a hugely diverse location, and one that we see students really thriving in. And then we also offer programs in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and San Jose, Costa Rica. So that sort of rounds out our just a look at some highlighted programs around the world. And then just to briefly introduce you to how we approach experiential learning. So as opposed to traditional study abroad, in a classroom at a foreign university taking regular courses, we also offer a number of sort of more hands-on experiences. One of those is an intern abroad program model. So this is where you have a customized internship placement in your field that's designed to help meet your professional goals after college. And then another option is TEFL, so teaching English as a foreign language. So this is quite similar to an internship, but it's really focused on the educational aspects of teaching English and preparing you to do that. And it also provides a TEFL certificate, which qualifies you to teach English anywhere in the world. And then lastly, our service learning program models. These are the newest programs that we're offering, and so we're really excited to offer these because it's quite immersive. So we partner with host communities in several locations to settle on a mutually beneficial service project that's ongoing. So students will plug into that, participate, and contribute towards the completion of that project, that goal. So the host community is benefiting from your participation, but the students themselves are also benefiting from their participation, and we build in a lot of reflection exercises into those programs. Okay, so here are, I mentioned this survey that we did to our international partners. I wanted to share the questions that we asked them. So we approached them with questions like, what resources are there on campus for LGBTQ+ students? We asked questions about facilities. So are there gender neutral or single occupancy restroom facilities in academic settings? Things like that. Gender inclusive housing options. Are there support groups? Are there student-led organizations focused on mutual support within the community? And so the result of that was this list of programs. So you'll see here some of the programs that I highlighted previously, and you'll notice that a lot of these are in English-speaking locations. So we're seeing a lot of Australia programs pop up, England, New Zealand, elsewhere in the British Isles. Our Hawaii program is there. So if you're a student who has concerns about how they might be welcomed internationally, and this is an important part of your education abroad experience, I'd encourage you to look into these programs. There's more information to get you started on our website, and we also have a lot of great content written by students in our student blog, student voices section, to share their experience of what it's like to be participating in a study abroad experience as a transgender student or a gay student, what have you, around the world. And I also wanted to share this list of resources, and I can share all these slides to make sure that you have them. But there are lots and lots of resources out there increasingly. At CIS Abroad, or actually in education abroad in general, we often look to Diversity Abroad. This is the name of an organization. They provide some really great resources around, I think it's like the local climate in certain countries, so you can understand what the local discourse is, how welcoming communities are in general. to members of this student population. There's also, we wanted to provide information from NAFSA Rainbow SIG. So this is a professional organization within international education. So there's a lot of information there. Our friends at UMass Stonewall Center put out some resources that we highly recommend checking out. And then this one of world laws is actually really interesting. So you can get a sense visually of what laws are like, how restrictive they are in different countries around the world. So do check these out. So some questions to consider if you are a member of the student population and you're thinking about study abroad. These are questions we took from in collaboration with UMass Stonewall, but also from interviewing students after they return from our programs. Things that they wish they had considered. So how out do I want to be to my host family or my roommates? Host families are an option on some of our programs, and in other locations you have student roommates. So that's something to consider. Do you want to make that clear? Do you want to sort of, as one student told me, it was just easier to stay in a closet basically for the duration of their program. That is something they didn't want to confront, and we have to understand that students are at different junctures in their personal journey, right? So it's a question to consider. How important is it for me to participate in LGBTQ activities and events while abroad? If it is important, I think the list of programs that we put together based on the survey could be quite helpful, because we know that those are going to be available. Just in general, social attitudes, are there resources on campus or in the host country generally? Are there any LGBTQ groups on campus which might be helpful for support? What is taboo? Taboo is going to, local taboos are going to vary really widely based on where you are, even within this country, obviously. And then are there, maybe most importantly, are there any safety or legal issues for LGBTQ individuals in the area that you're thinking about going to? Okay, so a little bit about funding. This is quite a common question that I receive. But first I want to share with you what's generally included in CIS abroad program fees. For me, it's easiest to say that basically everything is included except for your flight and meals on site, right? So tuition, housing, insurance, etc., are all included in our program fees. And I wanted to share specifically, about scholarships and grants that CIS abroad offers. I mentioned that we're really focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and so that is reflected in our funding opportunities. So you'll see if you visit our website, all of our scholarships and grants, the vast majority of them, are very focused on student identity. So for example, we have a first-generation student scholarship, student of color scholarship, and then most relevant for this discussion is our Rainbow Scholarship, specifically to support LGBTQ plus students. So we encourage you to please apply for all of our scholarships and grants. As administrators of scholarship funds, it's sometimes surprising how few students we see applying for these. So please do apply for whatever funding you have available to you. And you also want to talk with your home campus, the Education Abroad office, but also financial aid about what financial aid might be able to go with you as you do Education Abroad program searches. So getting towards the end here, I want to talk a little bit about just what the process is like when you're saying, okay, this sounds great, I'd love to pursue this as an option for me. What's the process? Now, I've really kind of maybe oversimplified it, but if you are interested, you're at that first stage, I would recommend looking at cisabroad.com. We have program search tools so you can search geographically or based on academics. You'll want to speak with the Education Abroad staff at CWU, and then you can begin your application. So it's important to note that Typically, you will do 2 applications if you're participating in a program like CIS Abroad. You'll do our application and then the application at your home institution, just to make sure nothing falls through the cracks there and everyone knows where you are and can prepare for that. And because that was such a simplistic, look at the application process, I wanted to provide this this link to our How It Works series. So this is put together by my hilarious colleagues to make it look like a 90s video game. It's quite fun. They're really quick videos that talk you through what is expected of you at each stage of the application process. So you can find that on our YouTube channel. It's also on our website. And actually, if you're on our YouTube channel, there's a lot of other great student content as well. So I encourage you to check that out. And then before closing, I just thought it would be nice to share some tips from LGBTQ+ returnees from our programs. So one student mentions learning the laws specific to gay rights. Then also about terminology locally. Obviously, there might be the official terminology and then slang. So it's important to understand those distinctions. What's appropriate to use when and with whom. For trans and queer gender folks, consider ways to minimize the hassles when going through airport security checkpoints, what kinds of documents to keep with you in case you get stopped. Being in a new environment adds hardships to everyone, regardless of sexual orientation, gender. However, students who already experience hardships due to their demographics will feel even more outcast and out of place. So it's important to understand that these things may occur, I think. And yet, yes, everyone's going to deal with hardships being in a new place. That's sort of where some of the growth opportunities come in. But it's important to know what to expect as you enter into a new place like this, a new situation, so that you can be more prepared for it. And then finally, and most succinctly, just be prepared to research the culture and climate before you go, queer-wise, which I think is a good summation. All right, so that is all I have for you today. I'd like to share these ways that you can get in touch with CIS Abroad. You can always text us, shoot us an email, visit cisabroad.com, or give us a call, or find us on social media. Thank you all for joining us today, and feel free to reach out if there's anything we can do to help.